probably angry water rights. And I saw in 2007 there was finally a deal. Here's 100 years later. I saw in 07. I suppose nobody's happy, but there was some kind of a major agreement here 3 years ago, 4 years ago, about that very same watershed. I find it interesting. But there was a major controversy at that time. So you almost had to put that out there. But I don't see where you would burn your town down and throw signs around on that issue, but it's there. So good point, and the drought was a major player. The drought forced people to move. The Coeur d'Alene Indians had to move their actual ancestral home. They had a failed crop and had to move to their current location down by Hidalgo at that year because they were starving. So thank you for asking. Yes, ma'am.
You said that old pumper truck could really pump a lot of water. Did it have a reservoir, or how did it get water?
No, yeah, they got water from a nearby source. If Ellensburg would have had one, they would have hooked it up to the hydrant.
Oh, so
Ellensburg didn't have one.
Fire hydrants.
The firefighting here was 2 or 3 of these, and then a bunch of hand pumps where you get 3 of us on one side and 3 on the other and start going at it, and then pumping water up through the hose.
Okay.
But did that clarify what you're saying? What you're asking?
Yeah. So they did already have fire hydrants around town?
Yes, there were a few fire hydrants around town. We saw a picture of one in front of the Snipes building, which actually was right by where the main fire was at. And they had used it because you could see hose there. Okay. There was and they had cisterns. They did have some storage. They had some cisterns, which are big dugout wells underneath the streets. They did have some water storage. They had some capability to fight the fire that night, but it had such a headway, the wind was blowing so strong, they quit fighting up early and went to using every wagon they could find to haul materials out of the buildings. But yeah, those pumpers in those days are still, modern day fire engines are not much better. So yeah, well, the fire engines, as you know, nowadays, a lot of them carry a supply with them. No, they did not. Yes.
At the time of the fire, was there a legislative vote planned to consider Ellensburg as the capital? Or was there ever a vote after the fire? Or was it?
A synopsis, a short version of that is the convention started July 4th, and their job was to write a constitution for the people to vote on in November. So they got together the 4th, they were happy down Olympia, everybody's happy, they're going to get to work on the 5th. Fire comes in, telegraph, the morning of the 5th, the legislature knows there's a fire here. Mr. Shouty, he says, hey, I got to go home. He takes off. He leaves his wife and child there behind. Mr. Myers and Mr. Turner, our other 2 representatives, come back here a couple of days later. Now this settles down, and they go back to their business. Now, our guys aren't happy, right? They're depressed, but they go back to their business of writing this Constitution. The committee of where to put the capital and other state institutions was run. The committee chairman was a Thurston County gentleman, Olympia, Thurston County. And that committee recommended that, let's just make it Olympia, call it good. Okay. Well, that got voted down, and as a matter of fact, as time went on, the eastern portion of the convention boycotted that plan and said, if it doesn't go to a public vote, then we're not going to ratify the Constitution. So there was a power play to at least get it to a public vote. Now, all Olympia had to do was follow the same plan Oregon did. And that was, and matter of fact, Bancroft's a famous historian. Bancroft issued a big book in 1888. These guys read it. And it's told how this happened in Oregon. And the same blueprint happened here in this state. And that was, put a vote to the people. But the capital has to get the most votes, the majority of the votes. Okay? Well, that's not going to work out so good. And then you're going to go to a three runoff. And they did that in Oregon, and that's what happened here. The first vote featured Olympia, Ellensburg, Yakima, a couple others, but 3 big players. That was the first vote. But the victory for Olympia was to get it written that there would be 3 finalists, not 2 finalists. Because if there were 2 finalists, and if you added up the Yakima and Ellensburg votes, they were a majority. And if one of them would have dropped out and just threw in their weight behind another one, then the capital would be here. But they didn't. So they split the vote. sweet, you know, for Olympia. Split that vote and then go to a three-way runoff. And what happens, and it happened exactly like it did in Oregon, people got tired of it. And just months went by. For the second vote, no one cared. And Olympia won it in a landslide. And it's just what happened in Oregon. So the how to do it was laid out. Now, did they think that would work or not? Did they believe that's all they had to do or not? Is an open question. Did they get desperate and think they had to do something else? I don't know. But it worked out by splitting the vote, really. I'm not saying it was collusion, I'm just saying they split the vote. And Yakima and Ellensburg didn't get along good enough to one of them's going to drop. Oh, hey, you know, hey, go ahead. You know. That wasn't going to happen. Well, thanks again, everybody. I hope you have a real good night.